Hello people, I'm recording my second video in English. I will say about technologies help the facility manager. I will speak about consumption of energy and water at mall. Two big costs of a condominium in a mall. I start to saying about electric energy. I will mention about the producer to measure the energy from each power transformer. I use some traducer to measure the energy of the power transformer. It's so important because with this I can check the power loss between the substation and the power, the low voltage power board, so I can calculate if this number it's good or not. Nowadays I check this number is 10%, and I will expect 3% to losses for the energy between the substation and the low voltage power board. So I can check for the cables, for the other things that will reduce these losses. The other thing is to measure the energy when the mall is closed, if the bulbs are turned off at the right schedule, if the machines don't work for full time. It's important for not expand energy without reason. And the cold water central, it's the most consumer of energy at the mall, so you can make some things to reduce this consumption. Nowadays at the mall that I work, I use the cold water tank. Is a big tank on the parking, at the parking, and you can use this for to reduce the cost of the energy. You can use it on the time that the energy is more expensive than the other time. Nowadays you use the tank to complement the water for the air conditioning system, so you can use it for the full time. But it's important to evaluate if it's necessary or not, because when you use the chiller, it's important to know which card of the system, the air conditioning system, needs to work. So if the charge is lower, you can just use the tank, and I can reduce the consumption of the energy because I just use the pumps. So maybe it's an important thing. The other thing is about the energy of the pumps. Nowadays we can use some frequency inverters, and you can reduce the consumption of the energy for the pumps, because you can't use the pumps on the limit of the speed for the frequency. It's not necessary for the whole day. You can use some variations for the day because of the temperature, the outside temperature, and or the how many people there are at the mall. It's this influence for the air condition, so you can use the inverters to reduce or not for the speed for the pumps. It's very important things. And nowadays we will start to use the inverters for the cooling tower fans. You can use to vary the speed for these fans. It's important because the temperature outside, it's not flat for every month, so you can use some velocity difference for depending of the temperature, depend of the weather. And the other thing is important, it's the treatment of water. The treatment of water is very important because of the heat exchange into the chillers or at the cooling tower. Nowadays, we start cleaning the chiller condense tubes because the condenser approach temperature is 2.2. It's very higher than I can mention that its set point it's 1, and you have to reduce the 2.2 to 1 or minus than 1. We can improve the heat exchange, cleaning the cooling tower first. Second, we start cleaning the chiller condensing tubs. We are doing this in the winter because it's more easier to stop the machines, and we can do the maintenance. The other problem that have for a mall that you use about energy, it's there are old power meters that not work very well, and they measure the energy of the store. So how can measure the energy if it's not calibrated for this? So maybe you make some mistakes, and it's not right the common condominium to pay the store specific charge. The stores have to pay the right thing for the consumption of energy. So you have to change the meters. Nowadays we are make a study to change the traducer for the electronic traducer, and you can use the BMS, the Building Manager System, to control or to measure the energy online. It's an important thing that you can use for other things. You use for share the bill of the energy, and you can check some losses, check if the people are using better the energy or not. So you can use for a lot of things. The second one, you can talk about the consumption of the water. Nowadays, I use some hydrometers to measure the consumption of water and the big consumptions, the stores, the toilets, the common areas. But it's difficult to measure each tap at the mall, but you can use the big ones. Nowadays we use to put the data in the worksheet to control the daily consumption, because it isn't a BNS to do this, but we are changing the hydrons and put the hydrons with data transmission, and maybe for 2 months we can use the BMS to control the consumption. We do some things to reduce the consumption for water. You install the aerators on the toilet faucets, and implantation of a reuse water system. You can make some things to put the reuse water system in function. You can make a campaign with tenants to reduce the water consumption. It's very difficult to show the employees for the stores that it's important to reduce the consumption of water, but nowadays you can use some things to show them this important. The other things, we can fix the water leaks. You can use Nowadays I use the worksheet to see that there are some leaks on the fixed fire system, the hydrants and sprinklers, because unfortunately it's common, and I can use it to find what amount about water are spent in the system, because it's a closed system, so you can't spend water without you make a maintenance, for example. These things I will do in Brazil. I have a dream to know about a system of control of the systems and the energy consumptions and the water consumption. If in the other countries like the USA, the China, Japan, maybe use some technologies that we don't know yet, but I'm very interested in these areas. So people, that's it. I'll see you in the next videos.